Welcome to the What Is Up podcast. We got a good one for you today, folks. This guest may be the nerdiest guy in all of Iowa, with a funny face to boot.
Are you talking about me?
Relax, Jimmy, it isn't you. Anyway, introducing... Wait a minute. Oh, this can't be right.
It's you, Daddy.
It's me! Jimmy, hey, you want to be a guest today?
You really think they'll like hearing my voice for an hour?
No.
You know, you could pretend to be nice once in a while.
I must forge on. I have no choice.
Are you even listening?
Jimmy, quiet. I'm trying to think here. The show must go on.
Do it, Daddy.
Oh, not you too, Jab Jab. All right, kids, you win. Introducing Rad Duprey on the What Is Up podcast. Here's your host, Bubba Saban.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? We have a special guest in the studio today, the man with the voice behind the intro to every single episode. This guy really tried hard to break into the audiobook market, but their loss is our gain, I guess. But he did get one offer, and he had enough character and conviction to turn it down since it was filled with profanity. He said, I just can't do it. My kids could listen to that someday. Now that's the kind of guy I can respect. He sticks to his Christian values, even if it costs him something. So I've been looking forward to doing this episode with Rad for a while because I think we just need more men like that today who aren't afraid to stand up. Guys who will do the right thing because it's the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the best intro guy in the podcast business, my buddy, Rad Duprey. What is up, man?
What is up? I don't know about best, but I appreciate the compliment. Thanks for having me.
What have we been doing? We've been just saying, hey, fake it till you make it, man. We just act like we know what we're doing, and we just do it. That's it.
Hey, so long as I'm convincing, like I'm a pro, that's all I care about.
Dude, yeah, you gotta put people in people who don't know us. Put yourself in their shoes. The product sounds really well, and they don't know we have no expertise.
We're just two dudes in small town Iowa in our basements.
Yep, that's it. That is it. Yep, raising kids, going by our wife's schedules, when we can do this, when we can't.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
That's it. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to dig into a whole bunch of your life story or anything like that. You wanted to come on and have kind of a discussion episode.
Yeah.
And you sent me some really good stuff that we're going to talk about. But real quickly, just give the listeners a glimpse of what is your life like right now.
Oh, life is beautiful. Life is busy. I have a beautiful wife, Jessica Duprey. I have three beautiful children that the Lord has blessed me with, and she has given me as well. Pompey, my oldest, is a feisty, fiery redhead, curly locks, and don't cross her. Wouldn't advise it. You know, I prayed for a redhead, and the Lord delivered. I wasn't too specific in my prayer though. I should have asked for a calmer baby. So the second time around, I said, Lord, thank you for giving me a redhead, a beautiful one. This time, could you give me, if thou would will it, could you bless me with a redhead that is calm? And Jasper came along. Jasper, my son, he's built like a truck. He's probably going to pick me up someday, throw me. The guy is huge. Yeah. And then we just been blessed recently with our newest one, August. And
all right.
Yeah, you know, I can't really tell if he's a blonde yet or if he's the redhead, to be honest with you. He kind of gave that color distinction at the beginning, like he's going to be a redhead, but so far maybe he's going to be blonde.
Okay.
But yeah, beautiful family. I honestly... The Lord is so good to me, dude. I don't deserve this family. I know that in my heart. Yeah. But the Lord is graceful and merciful and said, you know what? You're going to have a beautiful family. And
grace, yeah, that's getting something good we don't deserve.
Oh, man. Tell me about it.
Feels
me about
good.
It. You know, we've all had our share of sins in our lives, and we all have our share of regrets, you know. And just looking at that, you can kind of see why... Oh, help me out here, Bubba. I think it was Mary who was weeping at Jesus' feet. Was it? Yeah. You can kind of feel some of that because, you know, some of the wrong that she has done, and she sees how beautiful forgiveness is, how beautiful Lord Jesus is, and fragrance gives him fragrance over his feet of the most beautiful aroma.
Yeah.
I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And this family, he's just so good. Even this week, I gotta tell you, man, I've been having some issues in my basement. It's been filling up with water, and I've been training myself, you know, as of late, to be thankful even in the times that are tough.
Yeah.
I say, thank you, Lord Jesus, for this beautiful home. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for my family. Praise be to God. Hallelujah. It's hard.
Yeah. When bad things happen, it is hard.
It's super hard. But there's also a weird supernatural sense of peace. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a supernatural peace that comes with it. I'm even smiling at certain times. You know, I'm smiling, rotor-rooting my sewage
floor drain.
Floor drain. And I'm smiling because I'm just like, you know what? God is good. God is good, and we're going to get through this. If there's something he wants to show me with this, I don't know what it is, but we'll figure it out when we get there, you know.
You kind of hit the life lesson right off the bat. I'm asking for like age, wife, kids,
sorry,
hobby, and you go all deep right away.
I'm jumping in, dude.
It is. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, we say, "Oh, we're so blessed. We're so blessed." Well, when times get tough, you're still blessed, and it's like, yeah, but we forget all about that because
we do, and it's so easy to forget about it.
Oh, we're so wimpy. I heard one guy say, one guy said, "Why do Christians we're just thrown, you know, back and forth with the blows of the wind. Like when the kickstand thing at the gas pump don't work, we think it's the end of the world. Like, woe is me. It's because that one little thing, and it's like, wrong. Come on, man.
you laugh about it.
Yeah.
In the moment, you can relate to that if it happened to you, but then you look back on it and like, well, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Why did I behave like that?
Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So that's wife, kids, stuff like that. A couple other things. Let's talk about maybe hobbies, interests. What do you like to do?
You know, you should know, Bubba, and you probably do already. I am a complete nerd at heart.
Yeah.
I love movies. You can probably call me a cinephile. I absolutely adore movies. I've been watching them since I was yay high. I play some video games, but not too much anymore. It's more about the movies and appreciation of them. I got a couple favorites. I love Star Wars. Okay, the new ones, no. Get me out of here. No. Garbage. All right, I'm talking the original trilogy. Prequel trilogy is pretty good. You know, I grew up with them, so naturally I'm going to gravitate towards them. I like this. I like the fall of Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader. I thought that was epic.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is another favorite of mine.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get another movie or trilogy, if you will, of that caliber. The practical effects is off the charts. The amount of work and man hours that went into it is insane.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful story. You know, you got these characters that are going through, much like us in real life, despair, hopelessness.
Yeah.
But they persevere, man. They push through in the face of all that seems like it's just like today, man. Like we got a lot facing us. We got these armies of Sauron, if you will. They're massive. They're huge in numbers, right?
Yeah.
And it seems hopeless. But in the end, we win. It is such a beautiful story.
It's almost like Tolkien wrote it that way.
Yeah, it's almost like he did on purpose. Like he's trying to tell us something.
That's right.
You know, maybe for those of us, like a little bit of encouragement. Another favorite of mine, this is a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but Terminator 2.
Oh, that was great.
It is
that
great.
Was great.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You know, it's like it's made with perfection. Almost perfection, like machine precision, insane attention to detail.
Yeah, that was the first one I saw. I never saw the original.
Yeah, me too. The first one's a little bit more of a horror slasher vibe to it, and then Cameron switched to the more, not necessarily family friendly because there's some cussing in it, but
it was sci-fi.
But it was sci-fi action, summer blockbuster.
Yep.
And you know, the Terminator becomes like a dad to John Connor.
Oh yeah, there was a sentimental aspect.
Yeah. And so that kind of gravitated me towards it a lot because the idea of a robot dad. Come on.
Did you cry at the end?
Yeah.
I did too. I did too.
Thanks.
I
for
mean,
being
so
honest.
what are we talking about? 1990. It was before I moved up here, so you're talking early 90s. And I remember watching it at home, and I remember, just the music changes, and then he does the thumbs up.
He does the thumbs up.
Oh my goodness.
That scene is parodied to no end.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. But
It's almost a parody in itself.
okay.
I want to throw another movie in this mix, and this is one that I don't watch regularly, but I do appreciate it massively, and that is Passion of the Christ. I think I love that movie. Yeah. I love that, not because of what how violent it is. I love it because it gives you some appreciation in some way. Like, this might be the best way we can sort of time travel, if you will, back to the time of Jesus' death and resurrection, more importantly. And it's a beautiful thing because it makes you kind of, okay, wow. And, it also gives a new meaning to carry your cross. Yeah. Like, what's that mean for us? Oh. Well, sometimes it's a little bit scary to think about, and like I was saying earlier, we like to whine a lot, don't we? Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Passion of the Christ. I remember Jessie, my wife, she's never seen it, right? And I was like, hey, I got this movie. It's great. We'll watch it for Easter. And I kind of pulled one over her, but...
Oh, my. Oh, you got to warn somebody.
Well, I did. All right. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like an April Fool's prank or anything like that. I was semi-serious, but I knew she was never going to watch it had I told her what it had. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I needed to kind of like... This is a Christian movie, and it entails the last final moments of Jesus' life. That's all I said. Yep. I didn't say that was going to be graphic. I didn't say that was going to be, you know what I'm saying.
She had never heard that it was...
Well, I don't know about that, but she's never seen it. Okay. So I kind of goaded her into it. She's not a movie watcher by nature, man. Like
Oh, yeah.
She's much like her father. Yeah.
Gotta be.
What I mean by that is, once they hit the recliner, it's 8 p.m. It's lights out, dude. They're sleeping.
I got you.
Yep. They're not really moviegoers.
Yeah. And yeah, that movie was a big deal, man. I mean, churches were sending groups to see it, selling out theaters. It stayed in theaters it broke all kinds of records. I remember the big thing was Mel Gibson wanted to do it. He was in a good place at the time. Sure. You know, he's like a lot of Christians, just up and down, up and down. Up and down. But Hollywood would not get behind it. He had to get his own money. I mean, and look what it did. It just crushed it. And the other cool thing about that was it was the first movie I had seen that was all subtitles. And when you get to the end of it, you don't even realize you watched. It's like, you heard him speaking Aramaic, but reading the subtitles, you walk away from the movie as if you actually heard it. I can't explain it, but that's kind of how it works. But you know what I'm talking about, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to make sure people understood. I've joked in the past about my intro guy, the guy with the great voice, is actually legally deaf, is what I say. I don't even know if that's legally deaf, and so people wouldn't know that unless they actually know you and meet you and stuff.
You know what? There's a lot of people at my church that actually. I still think that they don't know that I'm deaf.
Really?
Yes. It's because I'm not sure if you ever heard someone.
Hang on. There go the dogs. You hear the dogs?
Yep, I heard the dogs. I said about it.
It's an official episode now.
It's an official episode. So I've been around other deaf people, and I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about when you can hear them try to talk. They don't exactly know how to enunciate very well.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You know exactly what I mean, okay? When I was young, I had speech therapy. Okay. And it's a wonderful thing. Yeah. I'm actually profound hearing loss, and that's rock bottom. Okay. Without these hearing aids, I hear nothing. Right. All right. And so... with speech therapy, of course, it helped me speak better. I can enunciate better, but it's a double-edged sword because when you hear someone speak well, what do you assume? They hear well. Yeah. Right? Yep. So it's terrible for me. Like, it's good for me, but it's bad for me. I had some people say like, the sermon was great today. I'm like, yeah, the weather's awesome. And they kind of give me this look like, that's not what I said, but okay, yes. Yeah. We're going to go with that, Rad. The weather is good, Rad. Is he touched in the head or what? The heck? I've had that happen to me far too often, and I just kind of I just gotten used to it. It's part of life,
once
man.
Yes, once people get to know you, like they just
Yes.
got to know you. You tell us straight up, like, hey, when we're in a group or whatever,
Yep.
I'm not going to be able to pick you guys all out.
Yep.
It's not the way the hearing aids work.
No.
You can't do it.
Yeah, no, it's terrible when it comes to background noise in group settings. It can't differentiate between the background noise and who I'm talking to.
Right.
It's
right.
horrible.
Right. And then you and me sat down to watch a movie one time, I think, about communism or something. We were kind of studying that and its influence and things. And you said, hey, can you turn the subtitles on? And it was kind of a lower budget thing. And I was like, oh, there aren't. And you said, hey, I can watch it, but I'm going to miss probably whenever someone's not looking at the camera speaking.
Yep.
It's going to be tough for me. And I was like, oh, man, I never put myself in those kinds of shoes.
No, that's all
But you
right.
had told me you had to go to school when you were younger, like for like lip reading and stuff like that, right? Or
No, lip reading, I literally just had to pick up on the way.
what'd you go to school for? Sign language or something? You went to school for, or maybe that was the speech stuff.
I think it was probably the speech
Okay.
therapy that I was telling you about.
No
That
one
wasn't-
helped you read lips? You just learned how to read lips?
I mean, I had like some people from speech therapy help me read lips, if you will.
Okay.
Yep. So you could technically say I went to school for lip reading. I mean, but lip reading is a vital part of how I understand people.
Yeah.
It is a huge part, man.
Yeah.
If we're doing this right now and you're turned around and I don't see your lips, like we're not going to have a podcast today.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me, and I think Jessica even said too, that just like, hey, remember, when you were first starting to come around and stuff, she's like, just remember, like, look at him. It helps him a lot. If you just look at him, he's going to get it for the most part. But if you're not, just because people don't know, they just assume, hey, if I'm looking the other way, you can hear me. It's like, no, just you'll do just fine if we're looking face to face.
Yep. Going back to Passion of the Christ real quick. After I showed Jessie the movie, she was mad at me. She was mad at me, and I don't think it was because she felt fooled. I think she said, if the Lord wants me to see that kind of violence, I think he'll let me see it. But I'm like, but I think it's good for you. I disagree. I think it's good for you. You're an adult.
Yeah.
All right. It's okay to see these things. The fact that we're living in America today is an abnormality, because through all out human history, violence was common.
Yeah.
People saw all kinds of things.
Yep.
Sadly, that's the truth. But,
Right. Yeah. I had a buddy who wasn't a Christian, but he was into horror movies, violence, stuff like
Sure.
that. He knew all about it when it was coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, he told me, he goes, you going to go see The Passion? It's a church movie, but I hear the crucifixion scene is going to be like,
bad.
and it was nothing like we'd ever seen. And I know people that said, we're not going to go see it because we don't want any image in our head other than what pops in based on reading the Bible.
Sure.
And Mel was good about it. He's like, this is the best portrayal of a Roman
I think
crucifixion
so.
that I can. But do not take it as I'm saying this is exactly how it was.
No.
But I'm taking what's in the Bible, what we know about Roman crucifixion, and this was it. And I remember walking out of the theater, man, nobody was talking.
No.
Nobody. I mean, there's silence. It moves people.
It does. When my dad and I watched it together, it was a private screening. We had the whole place to ourselves. I was bawling.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I was maybe, 15, 14. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like either a tween or early teen, if you will. And I was bawling.
Yeah, that's
I was
earth-shattering.
bawling. It was shattering. And it really got me to kind of think about it more. Sadly, I didn't really become a Christian until I say Christian, because I knew God, but I treated him like fire insurance all throughout my high school days, college, early adult life, if you will. Like, hey, thanks God for the card. Cool. All right. I'm going to go do my thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yep. It wasn't until I came over here and I met Jessica, that I really started to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And she took me to Jessup Bible Fellowship, amazing church. Just giving that a shout out.
Attaboy. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What else did I have in here that was interesting about you? Okay. Born in California, and that's tough for me because, wow, man, I don't agree with much of what's going on in California. But you said you were born in California.
I was born in California, Palm Springs to be exact.
Wow.
And don't worry, man. I disagree with just about everything about that state.
No, it's okay. I mean, it shows I'm willing to let people from the western side of the United States in my basement, but you grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
okay.
my parents moved us out here when I was about 5. It was shortly after my little sister was born in '94. I believe it was either 94 or 95, one of the two.
Okay.
And then we lived out in Wisconsin for pretty much my entire life. So I really don't consider myself a Californian at all. I consider myself a Midwestern at heart, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so tell me what brought you to Iowa then. Let's get into that a little bit, and then
Sure.
we'll button up a few more things about your interests.
No problem. As I said previously, Jessica is the reason I got over into Iowa. I was working as a CNA over in Wisconsin, and I was talking to my grandpa, you know, and I was asking him, you know, I was going through a difficult time.
Sure.
I'll just put it to you that way. And he told me, Radford, you need to meet a girl in church. I was like, you know what, Grandpa, you're right.
Good advice.
That was actually the best advice I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went on a Christian dating site, and lo and behold, Jessica, with her beautiful wavy red hair, those sapphire blue eyes, the freckles, and that funny smirk she did in one of her profile pics. It was just cute.
Oh,
it just
man.
immediately grabbed me, and I messaged her, and we had our first date in Dubuque. Catfish Charlie's was the place. Not bad. I recommend it if any of y'all like grilled pub food or seafood, what have you.
Okay.
It's right along the Mississippi there. It's a nice spot. Yeah, we hit it off right away. You know, and then the rest is history, man. Like, eventually I moved over here with a couple of guys down in Jessup.
Yep.
And lived with them for a while. Jesse and I got married in August of 2019, and we bought a home together in May of 2020. Had our baby girl in November of 2020. We've been busy.
Just ran through it.
We literally hit the ground running.
Making up for lost time.
Yeah, man. You know, we're in our early 30s. You know, so we gotta get going on that.
Oh man.
And we just knew like this is it.
Yep.
We just knew that God brought us together. This is it.
What was cool was, you know, we were all friends with Jessica, and when you were intentional. This is the girl I'm going to go after.
Yep.
She was intentional, saying, this is how I'm going to do it. And I can't relate to internet dating. It wasn't really around when I was there.
Sure.
But, like, she was intentional, saying, if there's no spark here, I'm moving on to the next guy. Like, Lord, show me who you want. And when you showed up, I'm not gonna bash, you know, a few of the other guys that she
cool.
no that she the other guys that she dated. When you showed up, you know, it was always kind of like once it got to a certain point, she'd introduce so and so to us, and so we got to know just a couple of guys. And then when you showed up, I was like, yeah, this. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just saying this guy's a little. I can relate to this guy more. He's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. We were just doing more things, you know, physical things. Yeah, sure. Maybe you got nerdy interests, but who doesn't? I like science fiction, whatever.
Sure.
But it's just far and away, I could tell, like, yeah, this guy's got a shot. This guy's kind of cool. I like this guy. And I'm glad she settled on you. Not settled, but, you know, I'm glad you won. I'm glad you won the Jessica sweepstakes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a good feeling right away. I was like, yeah, this guy's. He could be the one.
When she told me that she was dating the other gentleman, I said, of course. And, you know, I appreciate you being honest, you know, like that's amazing. And I just said, well, you know, I think we're progressing to a point where I think I need to know if we're going to continue this or not.
Yeah.
I'm ready, and I will be waiting for you to be ready. And that hooked her, dude.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, she had another date with the other fellow, and she just said, yeah, there's nothing. There's no spark.
Right.
What gave them the spark in the first date is, I believe she was kayaking with him, she told me, and she flipped the kayak over. In shallow water, she's okay.
Sure.
But they had a great big laugh about it, so there was some chemistry there.
Okay.
That's what she said, you know, and then the second date rolled by, and nothing. Flat.
Yeah.
Rad won.
And I think he's doing just fine. You know what I mean?
I think
it's a happy ending for everybody.
It was a happy ending for everybody.
That's cool how that works out, man. Yeah. And now, you guys just made up for lost. It was just one event after another.
It was bam, 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 bam.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So let's see. You ran through some of that childhood stuff. You know, you got in here childhood idol. Now, I don't think this one's nerdy. I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah. So
I
mean, I did have an idol growing up, but I'm pretty sure every kid does. My idol was Batman.
Heck yeah.
I loved, and I still like. I don't love him as much as I used to, you know, but I loved Batman growing up because you had the Batman the animated series in the 90s growing up.
Yeah.
That cartoon was the best, dude. It had a little bit like a crime noir feel to it.
Okay.
But it was very Batman-y. The Rogues Gallery, you know. Best villains list you could ever come up with for a comic book hero, in my opinion. You know, I like that he has no powers. I like that he's intellectual, and I like that he is about justice, because that word right there, justice, that rings really true with me today, even as an adult more so. But like I said, I just liked the character. I loved him so much. I got a tattoo of the bat symbol on my left calf. You know,
I noticed that the summer you started kind of hanging out down here. I was like, look at this guy. He's got the Batman emblem on his calf.
Everybody knows this is the Batman tattoo. Yeah. My little sister got the same tattoo on her right calf.
Really?
So we both got it together at the same time. Man. Yeah, because she's a huge Bat fan as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. So, cool. Yeah, I loved it.
That's what I like about him, is the fact that he's like, even though he's in the superhero category, he's a dude.
Yep.
He's a dude, you know. Oh man.
It feels possible.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah, there you go.
It feels a little bit possible. You know, you just got to have a mansion, you got to have a cave underneath that mansion that's perfect for a cave or a bat cave. You got to have about $1 trillion, you know, to make this work.
Yeah.
Still reachable.
Resources, technology. But then when Christian Bale came on and started doing that, you realize, okay, wait a minute. No, he also had a physical side to him and all this. And then that just made it even more cooler for me.
It does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. So you talked about kind of the 3 favorite movies of all time. Let's hit these favorite Christmas movies. You know I'm a Christmas guy. You've known that about me for a long time. So you knew I was going to be jacked when you said, "Hey, let me run down this list right here. Let's hit this. Favorite Christmas movies."
So my favorite Christmas movies is Home Alone 1.
Nice.
An absolute classic.
Never gets old.
You can't go wrong with that one every year. You have to watch it. 2 is good too. Not as good as 1.
Right.
But 2 is still good.
Yep.
All right. It's basically a retread of 1, if you will.
It is. 1 and 2 are their own thing. Everything else is something separate.
Yeah, and I know I remember hearing your son tell about Home Alone 3. There's something wrong with that boy. I'm sorry to tell you. Home Alone 3 as his favorite Christmas movie. There's something wrong there.
How is that my son? I don't know. I don't know.
He's adopted. Just tell us right now, right?
I know I dropped him, maybe. I don't know.
The result was Home Alone 3.
He's good.
Here's a lesson. Here's a lesson to all you parents out there. Don't drop your kids.
No. I hurt all my kids when they were babies somehow. I dragged Bridget's
accidents
forehead across the corner of a side end table, and it left a big scar like that. And I was just terrible. I treated him like a sack of potatoes. Just grab him. Yeah. We can laugh now, but whenever I did it, Sarah would just give me that look, and she just give me my baby, and I'd have to go to our room. It was bad.
Hey man, moms know best.
They do.
Moms know best. They really do. They had that instinct that we just do not possess.
That's
simply, and that's why I consider my job actual work, because I have to work to have that instinct, if you will, as a stay-home dad.
Right. Yeah. You got to develop that.
Yes, you have to develop that. Yep, you have to develop that nurturing aspect. Right. At least you can be aware of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you shouldn't fully have what Jessica brings to the table.
No, if I did, that's what makes us both unique. That's what makes a wife.
That's how God
and
created us.
Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. That's what makes us so that we complement each other.
Yeah.
She has things that I do not have, and I appreciate that about her.
There you go.
Versus I have things that she does not have. Whether it be that abilities or whether that be instincts, like we're just talking about, things that come more naturally to men. It just makes us appreciate each other. And I think that's another thing, just kind of touch on a little bit, that is missing from today, is a lot of couples compete.
Yeah.
They don't complement each other, and they should complement each other.
Work as a team.
they work as a team. I know it's hard. I know marriage is heavily flawed, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And before you give me like the frowny face, like what? I think it's beautiful because you need God. You need God.
Oh, it takes three to make it work. Yeah,
absolutely. You need God in that picture. That's why He made us the way we are, and that's why He essentially cursed us right in the beginning from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, because imagine if He didn't curse us and we were making it work without Him, what kind of picture is that painting?
Oh, we don't need Him.
Right. So He cursed us from the get-go. He knows best. He's a wise and powerful God.
Yeah.
I'm going to curse you, not to be mean, but you're going to need me in the picture.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, young people may just think, a 50-year marriage, you just work hard and it'll happen. It's like, man,
no,
it takes so much more than that.
It really does.
It's crazy. Yeah. All right, we get way off topic here real quick.
I'm
What was
really
the
sorry.
third one? You had a third Christmas movie in there, and I like this.
Rankin Bass, Rudolph, the claymation
yes,
one.
old school.
It's super old school, but it's on on ABC every year. You know.
Yep.
You know. It's simple, and I think it's a lovely and iconic film that every kid should see. In my opinion, that's one of the ones that I grew up with, and I just absolutely love that film. I adore it.
I agree. That's back when I was a kid. I mean, probably when you were young too. That and like Charlie Brown, Great Pumpkin, stuff like that. If you didn't sit in front of the TV when it came on that year, you missed it. I mean, unless you were rich and you had the VHS tape or something. Yeah. Like, I always looked forward to those claymation ones too. That was good stuff.
They were a treat. All
right. Let's get a little vulnerable here. Most embarrassing moment? 8th grade graduation? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I had when I looked at your segment ideas and I saw the most embarrassing, well, I'm like, well, I farted plenty in school, but everyone's farted. I don't care who you are. You farted in gym class. You farted lifting weights. You farted in a locker room, cafeteria. I don't care. You farted somewhere. So
that's right.
That's not original.
It happens.
It does. But in 8th grade graduation, so like I said previously, I'm hard of hearing, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the teachers was doing an award for drama. Mr. Tales was his name. And he was up there on the podium in front of us. We're all in the middle of the gymnasium. There's bleachers on either side of us filled with parents. Bleachers behind us, again, filled with parents. And we're on those fold-up chairs in the middle. And he's calling names for awards. And the gymnasium had an echo to it, and so my hearing aids couldn't really pick up, so I'm perked in, I'm tuned in, trying to listen to this guy, and I swore he said my name. So I stood up and I had a big smile on my face. I was walking to the front, and lo and behold, this kid out of nowhere walks beside me too with a big smile on his face, and I looked at him like, oh, I guess we both got the award, huh? And he looks at me, he goes, what are you doing? And I was like, I was stunned. I was frozen.
Oh, my.
I was frozen in place, and the whole gymnasium was silent. I think that everyone had secondhand embarrassment for me that day. They just felt bad.
Yeah.
And the teacher kind of looked at me like, oh. And I turned around, and Chelsea, a girl named Chelsea, right in the front row, and she goes, Rad, what are you doing? And I'm like, he didn't call my name, did he? And she goes, no. And I'm like, oh. So I just slunk down. I slunk back to my chair, and I just sat down, and boy, I felt sick to my stomach, dude.
Oh, man.
I had such a I was beat red, and I just felt sick. I was just like, well, that's what I'm going to be remembered for.
Life's over. 8th grade, I'm done.
Yeah, that probably, when I think of my most embarrassing moments, that's definitely at the top, in my opinion. It was bad.
Man.
It was bad. Yeah,
I don't know how to even what to say to that. Like, yeah, I know, and because those years, it's all about your image and how others perceive you.
Yes, you are insecure, dude.
If you slip and fall in the lunchroom, you're toast
for
a year. People aren't you won't live it down.
No.
Oh, man.
No, I did not live that down for a while.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was some people who were understanding after the fact, like, you probably didn't hear him, did you? And I was like, no, I didn't. They're like, I figured. And I was like, at least some people understood.
Sure.
You know,
Good.
some, like you said earlier, like some people understand that I'm hard of hearing and that I do miss things occasionally. But it did develop a little bit of paranoia in me. Like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to live that again. Nobody would. No. So I'm perked all the time, trying to listen as hard as I can. Yeah. But that comes with a cost. I'm easily exhausted. Sure. When you have a hard of hearing disability like this, and you're constantly trying to listen, and you have your brain just
when you're mentally engaged,
like you're in it, dude.
You can only do that for so long.
It's draining.
It's draining. Yeah.
It's so draining. So I do get easily tired because of my hard of hearing.
I gotcha. Yeah. I bet you it's probably similar to the mental drain part when we go deer hunting. It's you will not, in my experience, you don't see the deer. Mm-hmm. If you see the deer, it already probably knows you're there. You know, not in every situation, but you have to hear it first. And when you are for hours on end listening for every little sound, I mean, my goodness, it's exhausting. By the time you hit lunch, you're tired. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's the amount of focus.
Yeah, it's like our brains cannot handle that. One other thing about the hearing thing I was going to ask. Yeah. So, and you were talking about how husband and wife complement each other, and how even though because of your guys' situation, you're the stay-at-home dad. You know she needs to be the more nurturing type. You're still the man, the husband, the provider, the protector. So when you sleep, do you pull the hearing aids out?
I do.
So if Jessica hears anything, you're instantly
my alarm.
Okay.
Yep. She punches me. She pushes me out the bed. Whatever she's got to do to wake me up. Right. We have in a lock safe right underneath my side of the bed, locked up. Only I know the key. Or sorry, it's a punch key. Like you punch in digits to unlock it. Yep. Only I know the code. I do have a judge underneath my bed with 410 shells, so I'm ready. All she's got to do is punch me, like I said. Problem is, Jessica sometimes sleepwalks, and boy, she says some of the eeriest stuff sometimes. And there are times that I have to trust her. Mm-hmm. Because my ears are out. So if she punches me and she's like, Rad, and I quickly put on my hearing aid. I'm like, what? And she goes, there's someone in the house. I heard it. And I was like, okay, well, we got to investigate that. I can't leave that. I got kids. Yep. I got babies. So I go and I get my judge and I walk around the house, do a tour. I look outside and there's nothing. And I'm like, and she goes, did you see anything? I'm like, I think you're probably sleepwalking again.
Wow.
Yeah. There was another night where she woke up and, sorry, baby.
It's getting real.
Yep. She's done some pretty like, it creeped me out a little bit.
It's not her fault. I mean,
no, it's not her fault. I just don't listen to this podcast. Anyway, let me back up a little bit. So what she would do sometimes is there was one night I woke up and I'm half asleep. I'm just about to get there and I feel this hand on my left arm. It startles me, of course. Yeah. And I look over to my left and I see Jessica. She's off the bed, but her head is down on the bed, so all I see is her hair. And I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. It really spooked me out. And I'm like, I said, Jessica? And she looked up and I'm like, okay, it is you. there was it creeped me out, man. There was another night where she woke up and I was out on the couch. It was I had to feed August. Okay. Or I'm sorry, Jasper. I had to feed Jasper. I'm terrible. I get those names mixed up all the time.
I still do it.
There's those poor boys. Anyway, she comes out and she goes, do you hear them? And I'm like, huh? I take off my headphones. I'm on the laptop listening to music. And she goes, do you hear them? The baby's in the wall. I'm like, what?
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, honey, I don't hear babies in the wall. Please go back to sleep. Now, allegedly, her worst episode of sleepwalking was when she was still at the apartment under Parkview, is it?
It gets worse than that?
It gets worse than that.
I'm already never going to look at her the same after that one. Oh, man.
She can't help it.
She can't help it.
I mean,
that doesn't mean I'm going to be comfortable knowing that Wow, that's gonna be weird.
I mean, you got a deaf guy and a sleepwalker in the same bed. All
I have
sorts of things
eccentric
happen.
friends, ladies and gentlemen.
Eccentric. Yes, that's a good word for it.
That's a good word.
That's
yeah.
a good word for
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right,
I
hit
like
me
that.
with it.
Okay, so this is more real world kind of scary.
Okay.
She once found herself by her VW Beetle that she had
Yeah.
with keys, like she was about to drive somewhere one night.
And
Like,
she woke up out there.
and she woke up out there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So that
that's
means
scary.
she went out of her apartment, up the stairs to the parking spot. That's a ways to go.
That's a
sleepwalking.
ways to go before you wake up. And so that's the number one reason why I have, like weaponry locked up. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she agrees. She doesn't know. So I just lock it up.
Well, and that's the responsible way to do
Oh,
it.
of course.
That's it. I mean,
But that's just an added layer as to why you lock it up.
Yep.
You lock it up no matter what, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, she's done some that and all the other ones that she wakes up out of. It's just a generic. The most generic one is there's someone in the house. That's pretty common. That's like at least once a month I have to check check the house.
I know we get so worried about that. It seems like not saying nothing could ever happen, but when's the last time you heard of a break-in while somebody was home in Fairbank, Iowa? You don't hear of it, but yet what was that? A couple years ago, they were doing the scavenger hunt around town.
Yeah,
and I think my family had just given me a hard time for not taking when they say they hear something. Bridget or Sarah, they say they hear something. Like I just, go back to bed, guys. Like, I didn't hear anything. I'm not alarmed. It's all good.
Yep.
Well, it was, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we see flashlights and stuff over on the side of our property, and they come and tell me. And for some reason, this time I was, just like you. I was like, well, better investigate this. Instantly pull out the gun, the light. I have the light and the laser mounted underneath the gun. Because most people, that's all they need to see, and they'll flee. They see a red dot, they're gone. And here it was these people on the scavenger hunt trying to get a picture of the semi-trailer that used to be parked next to my house, the Mayflower.
Yep, the Mayflower.
And here I'm at the door before I looking through the screen door, I almost walked outside with my gun, and people are just having fun. And I would have been branded a weirdo for life, but yeah, that's
hey,
wild.
I mean, I probably be doing the same thing, as you were saying, like Bridget, go back to bed, you're probably hearing things. If I had hearing, I'd probably be doing the same thing like Jesse. No.
But you can't rely on being alarmed. If they're alarmed, you have to investigate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that's cool. All right, what's the last thing on your list here? You said past injuries. You wanted to share some of those with the audience. What do you got?
Oh, the only thing I remember breaking, so I know you've broken a couple things too, yes. The only thing I remember is breaking my thumb.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that bad though. Like I was at I always tell people one time at Def Camp, one time.
See, that's how I knew you were going to make it. That's how I was like, this guy's got a sense of humor. Oh, that's good. This one time at Def Camp.
It's actually called Lions Camp over in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it's not just the deaf people. It's for the blind people. It's for all kinds of disabilities.
Okay.
They do different weeks.
I got you.
And that week, it was Deaf Week.
Okay.
Okay. And that was when I first really encountered the other hard of hearing people in that community, and listening to them speak. It was actually kind of revealing, mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I didn't really encounter a lot of people who were hard of hearing in, Grant County, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Pretty rural. Went to a small school and all that, But going to a camp where it's just nothing but hard of hearing people and talking with them, making friends, making memories. But listening to them speak actually blew me away.
Yeah.
I was 11 at the time, I think I first went. Anyway, yeah, I broke my thumb when I think it was about 13. I was a tween, And the night before all the campers go home, they had a dance for everybody at this outdoor shelter.
Okay.
And a place where you hold picnics and what have you. So they had all these heavy tables moved out of the way, metal tables.
Yep.
We're dancing, and this girl was flirting with me. she took my hat and was like, haha, come and get it.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
That's at the beginning right there.
It's the beginning. The hormones are starting to build.
Yep.
And so I'm excited. I'm like, she's got my hat. Yep. Like, I feel really cool.
Yeah.
You're a boy. You're 13. You're excited. It's
Heck
the first
yeah.
experience. A girl likes you. Why not? And so she took my hat and was running behind the folded tables. And not a good idea. And I'm not sure where the adults were on this one. And I'm pretty sure they probably had a good safety meeting talk after this one. Anyway, I chased her, and we were zigzagging between all these tables until eventually one table, it started to lean over and came crashing down on me. It fell on my entire body. And the only thing it broke was my thumb. I'm not sure how it happened.
Wow.
It was interesting. I went to the hospital, got a cast on. I was the coolest kid. Everybody was like, Rad, you rock. And everybody was like signing my cast. And, my counselor, when I came back, he was like, Rad, I was so worried about you. And then he replicated how I looked on the floor. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's like, okay. He was scared out of his mind, I guess. I don't blame him. Looking back now, I can't blame him, honestly, because under his watch, if you will.
Yeah, he's responsible.
He's responsible for me, so yeah. I get it, but still.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny time, though.
That's so weird. Why? So the girl takes your hat, and if a boy likes a girl at that age, usually you kind of assault them. You punch them in the shoulder. What is up with young love? Like what are we doing here? But that's it. Boys are violent to the girls they like when they're young, and girls.
Yeah. I guess I grew out of that early. I don't know what else to tell you.
Oh man. Well,
I like the attention. I'll be honest.
While we're talking about 13-year-old flames.
Yep.
So I have the one segment that is a one thing you love or appreciate about your spouse, and you already gave Jesse some glowing remarks. Did you have more specific stuff? Because you said you wanted to take advantage of that segment.
Yeah, I do. I'm really thankful for my wife.
I knew you were going there.
I'm so thankful for her every day. She's inspiring, man. She's so creative, and she's the best mother I could ever have asked for my children. Yeah. She gives them so much attention. She's creative in what she does with them, activities, crafts, nurturing. Yeah. Like we talked about. It's incredible. And she's done up our house like it's a art deco museum.
You can tell she's an artist.
Yeah, you can tell she's an art teacher. Yeah. By far. And you know what? I like it. I look at the stuff that she puts up, and I might not like it at the time when I'm helping her. But when I see the finished product, I'm like, I see your vision. Yeah, and you actually have a pretty good eye. I appreciate.
They're
what she
different
does.
than us. They have the ability to see that stuff, and it's like they use a part of their brain that just we don't use.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It is, and I love her, and I appreciate her for sticking with me every day. Yeah. Putting up with my shenanigans. And don't get me wrong, she's not perfect. I put up with her shenanigans, i.e. see the sleepwalking episodes. But yeah. But I put up with her shenanigans, but she's putting up with my shenanigans. She's stuck by my side, and I can't ask for a better woman. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to my wife.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, your wife Jessica's an art teacher, and she gave me a hard time once because I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a huge outdoorsman, but I do my fair share of hunting. I've taken my kids hunting, stuff like that. I enjoy the fall landscape, things like that. So of course, like that bucket right down there, that's a Terry Redland, popcorn bucket that I used to put ashes from the wood stove in. Sure. And I don't know how it came up one time. We were all doing something, and I said, you may have been there. You may remember this. I said something about Terry Redland paintings and how I'd like to have, this portrait done or something. That's what it was. I think I was saying I have a picture that somebody took, or I think I took it, outside of our church before Awana started one year, and it was during harvest, and one of our leaders had drove his tractor, just came straight from the field, parked his tractor in the parking lot, and there were leaves on the ground, and you can tell the sun was going down, and it was like, but he still made time to come at 6:30 on Wednesday night because those kids need volunteers to help teach them the Word of God. Yeah. And I told Jessica, I was like, if I ever have the money sometime, I'd love to have, somebody or, you if you were ever willing, paint that for me. and I'd hang, because I told her, I was like, oh, I'm just into the fall landscapes and things like that, and
Sure.
and I love Terry Redland stuff. It's all outdoor stuff, and she goes, oh, Terry Redland, and she just like dismissed. She goes, "That's not art." She said, "That's not art." I'm like, "Look at it, it's beautiful." Sometimes it's deer in the woods, sometimes it's ducks on the pond. And she goes, "Yeah, that's not art."
Yeah,
all of us in art school or college, we made fun of guys like Terry Redland. I'm like, wow. I mean, and she was kind of relentless for a few seconds. I mean, it wasn't just like a little jab. It was like jab, jab, hook, cross, uppercut. And she just kept going. I'm like, ease up on Terry Redland. But
you will accept my opinion.
yes, you're the art expert, I guess. But man.
Yeah.
And so what did she paint for us one time? She did. I said we never did the caricatures at like carnivals or Mall of America or anything. And so one year she gifted our family like a family caricature portrait.
That's right, she did. I remember that.
So to this day, still no fall landscape. No. She's
I wouldn't count on it.
I probably not.
She knows best.
Yep. I will find someone else.
Yep. Hey, man.
I'll get Pastor Jans in town. He'll do. He did the Fairbank train coming through the old Fairbank Depot in the winter. He did that one for me.
Sure.
So I got one of those. But yeah, I'll just have to have him do it. So thanks for nothing, Jessica. Appreciate that. Okay. We better take a turn for the serious here. We've had a lot of fun here this first 50 minutes.
Hey, man.
And you got to be home for dinner. So. Let's see what we can get in here. Now I know your story. You and me are kind of similar. We're definitely on the right path now,
yes.
But we feel like our lives have purpose as dads, as husbands, as followers of Christ. Not that everyone who sits in the chair in the basement across from me has to be a Christian. That is not the case.
Nope.
But you and me are both there. But you and me were both teenagers once too. We were on a different path in life.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I'd say we were on the whole wrong path. And then, some people may say, well, look where you're at now. You were on the right path. Okay, well, if we were on the right path, we were going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
We were not. That's our youth. So this segment right here is basically if every American teenager was in your youth group over at JBF, what would your message be to them?
Well, first of all, teenagers scare me.
Yeah.
Second of all, I think if I had to give them one message, a few. I have a few, actually.
Okay.
My first one is to be authentic to yourself. Don't chase cool. I know it's alluring. I know you want to fit in. You're trying to find your identity.
Yep.
It's hard.
Yep.
It's so hard. I was there. But in the end, you're going to find that it's all superficial.
It meant nothing.
It meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You're going to find that out, and then, what was all that worrying? What was all that thinking for? Absolutely nothing.
And it's just one moment in time.
Yeah,
I know
it goes by fast. And that brings me to my next one. Don't rush to grow up. Enjoy your childhood, because yes, you're still a child.
Yeah.
Enjoy your childhood. Enjoy what it is. Enjoy the freedoms that you have. And I think that's especially important before you go into adulthood, before you're weighed down with responsibilities, before you're get into the real world, and you find out, okay, adulthood's actually not all that it's cracked up to be. It really isn't. It's like some parts of it are actually rough.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you want to be an adult. Then when you're an adult, it's like you want to go back and be a kid. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us?
Whining, right?
Whining again. There we go. It comes back to we're whiners.
Whining. And this last one might sound a little harsh, but it's not about you.
Oh, that's good.
And I think the sooner we realize that, the better your headspace is going to be, the better your spiritual life is going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about you.
Yep.
And this goes back all the way when we were talking about God's grace. We're very selfish individuals.
Yep.
We think it's about us, and we're in a consumerist society, so it's made even worse by that.
Yeah.
We think it's about us.
Yep.
And, capitalism, as imperfect as it is, it works, but there are some bad things about it.
There's some drawbacks, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think anything that is man-made, of course is going to have drawbacks. We're imperfect creatures. But But I think the sooner you realize that it's about community, it's about God, and it's about what you can bring to the table, not what the table has set for you.
Yeah.
What you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of depression, a lot of suicidal thoughts, a lot of anxiety drives from this "it's about me" mentality. You know, if you're anxious about something, you're anxious about how you're perceived, well, you're thinking on yourself. If you're depressed because, you know, we all get depressed.
Yeah.
I completely get it. I actually deal with depression myself, you know, so this message is for me as well.
Sure.
It's for all of us.
Yeah.
And actually, Pastor Clint was talking about this not last Sunday, but the Sunday before. And he looked at the auditorium and he literally said those exact words. "It's not about you." And I'm like, woo.
Yeah. Convicting. Yeah.
And that message is for every single person out there. And I think this is especially true for teenagers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? In an age where you're identifying and you're going through all these changes, life's throwing out all these choices at you. You got SAT scores. You got to choose where you want to go to college or trade school. I get it. It's hard, but it's also readying you for the real world.
Mm-hmm.
There's decisions every day.
Yep.
You know, and you got to make those choices, but make it less about you.
Right.
If you can.
Yeah, that's good advice. That is a good message. I want to sit in on that message when you give that to all the youth of America. That's going to be a good one. Man, I'm not going to add anything to it. Okay. If you could delete one thing from the world, what would it be?
Oh, man. Child sex trafficking, hands down. If I can delete one thing, you know, it would be that.
Okay.
Of course, the obvious answer, if you can delete one thing, it'd be sin.
Sin. Yeah, that's the easy answer.
That's the cop-out.
Yeah.
You know,
I think Ryan Nesbitt said the same thing. Oh, that's kind of an easy answer. So you got to go deeper, and that's good.
Yep. Child sex trafficking. You know, adult sex trafficking, adult slavery, it's bad enough.
Yeah.
I understand that. But children, the innocence shattered, locked in a cage, waiting to be sold as an object.
Yep.
You don't get to have your childhood. You don't get to have those days where you're frolicking wherever, playing, being innocent.
No.
You're destroyed.
Yeah, they just want out.
Yep. And their whole lives are destroyed.
Yeah.
All of it. Because as a child, that's your most formative years. We have a huge responsibility to our children, you know. And as a dad myself, I have my baby girl. It shatters me. Mm-hmm. I think about all these other children around the world, and it's horrifying to think that every 40 to 90 seconds, a child goes missing.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. It's so sad.
Yeah, we kind of sometimes joke about the white van. Watch out for the white van. It always seems to be a white van.
Right.
But then when you actually, when it becomes real to you, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
If that happened, you know what I mean? I've always told Sarah that. Like, I don't think I would handle that kind of stuff very well. If a major tragedy like that, I just don't. And I know we're resilient. I know God can bring us through anything. Yep. But I'm just like, man, I don't know. To imagine something like that, I just think it would wreck me.
It would wreck me too. Yeah. I think I would probably go to jail.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I
would kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there was a nice piece of justice down in Texas. A gentleman had a daughter, a 3-year-old, I believe, and someone raped her, the 3-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. The father, understandably, beat him to death.
Oh, yeah.
And he was acquitted of all charges. Yep. I was like, that's a nice piece of justice, in my opinion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you do that to a child, I think you're lower than scum.
Yeah.
You're dirt.
Yeah, there's no reason for that. And the Bible gives clear warning about that, and I've stated that on here a couple different times when this topic comes up. And I know my mom, she had just sent up some giveaway merchandise. She said these are used for giveaways only, and in that are 2 copies of Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
Which, true story about... what did the movie come out? Last summer?
Was it last summer?
Last summer about the DHS agent Tim Ballard and all his efforts and stuff like that against child sex trafficking. So
Operation Underground Railroad.
Yep. And so that's that's his foundation and all that. And I know they're doing a sequel to that movie. And I heard Mel Gibson is doing a sequel to Passion of the Christ called The Resurrection.
Oh, really?
Yep, I heard that's in the works.
Ooh,
so
that's interesting.
My mind just quickly went off there.
That's all right.
Easy.
You know, I do it all the time. I'm guilty of that.
Be on
too.
the lookout for that stuff.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, that gets us all the way to the What Is Up segment, and you had some good stuff on there. Yeah, you guys are not going to want to miss his What Is Up topics. He picked out one I've been waiting for someone to want to discuss. Remember when we were fighting at our Walmarts and Dollar Generals over toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic? We lost our freaking minds. And Rad remembers that, and he wants to talk about that. We're also going to talk about inflation. That's right, inflation. The reason we're paying so much more for gas and milk and groceries and eggs and just some of this stuff is just insane. Rad's going to give his take on that. We're going to talk a little bit of history that involves Germany, but it's probably not exactly what you think. He's going to bring up some topics about Weimar Germany and what was going on back then and what was going on with the book burning. But I think the main point we're going to get to is you can't attack the First Amendment. There will be consequences. We have to fight for it. We have to educate ourselves, things like that. So we're gonna get deep into some of those on the next episode, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Rad will be back for part 2. Don't miss it. Tune in. Tell your friends about the best podcast, the up-and-coming podcast that we got going on here. Don't stop sharing it. We got to keep growing. Check us out on all of our social media, on Facebook and Instagram. We're always doing giveaways and things like that. Like I said, we're going to have some giveaway merchandise coming up here real quick. Copies of Sound of Freedom, copies of The Blind, one of my favorite all-time movies right there. We're going to be giving that stuff away, but you got to follow us on social media. Okay? You got questions, comments, you want future topics, future guests, send me an email, whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. It's that easy. I'd love to do a mailbag episode if I could get people to email me. Just me taking questions, giving my opinion, different topics, things like that. So you got to send me an email to make that happen, okay? We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't miss out on Rad's part 2, where he shows us what is up.